Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Coach Anderson, and today we're going to discuss everything we've learned thus far for Unit 6. We'll talk about Earth's four spheres, Earth's layers, and the rock cycle, okay? So go ahead and take a minute, sit down, and enjoy this video. So first things first, let's begin by talking about Earth's four spheres, okay? Now everything on Earth is classified into four main systems that we call spheres. Matter and energy are constantly cycling through these spheres. Their interactions shape Earth's surface, and each sphere has a role in making Earth home to living things. Okay? These four spheres, as you can see in the picture up here, are the biosphere, geosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. Okay? Now, these spheres are individual parts of Earth's systems, but they also interact with one another. Okay? You can differentiate between each sphere by identifying its parts. Now, for example, we have the biosphere, and the biosphere is the realm of all living things. Bio means life or living. So in the biosphere, we have plants and animals, humans like you and I. We're all part of the biosphere. We also have the hydrosphere. The word hydro means water. So the hydrosphere is anything that deals with water. Lakes, oceans, rivers, glaciers, that's part of the hydrosphere. The atmosphere is all about the air and vapor around us. So different gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide are part of the atmosphere. And then we have the geosphere. You can think of geo as meaning land or rock. And so various land formations like mountains or rocks are part of the geosphere. Okay, let's go ahead and take a quick second to look at an example of how all four spheres interact with one another at the same time.
Second to look at the four spheres of Earth in the real world, all right? I'm out here mountain biking today, and you can see behind me a beautiful lake, which represents the hydrosphere, right? The realm of water, as well as all the rocks around me. I'm mountain biking, so I'm on a mountain or hill, and these rocks are part of the geosphere. Also around me are a bunch of plants, which are living, as well as other people and tons of animals out here, which is part of the biosphere. And then of course I'm surrounded up here by the clouds and, surrounded by oxygen and other gases, which are part of the atmosphere. So this is a great example of how all four spheres interact with one another.
Okay, so let's see if you actually understood anything I just said. So based on what I just said, and if you have to go back and watch this video, you can always rewind. And as well as the example I just gave you, I want you to look at the picture right here. Okay, and as you look at this picture, see if you can identify at least one component of this image that belongs in each sphere. Okay, I'll give you a second to think, pause this video. Did you pause this video? Who knows? Okay, either way, go and look at it. You should see that the animals and the plants might be part of the biosphere. Maybe this rock down at the bottom is part of the geosphere. The lake or stream is part of the hydrosphere. And then of course, the clouds or the air around us is part of the atmosphere, all right? Good job. Now let's move on to Earth's layers. Well, so now it's time to move on to the layers of the Earth. And for this class here in 6th grade science, there are four main layers that I need you to know. And you can think of the layers of the Earth like the layers of a cake, kind of, sort of, except you can't eat them, okay? And the four layers that you need to know are the crust, the mantle, the outer core, and the inner core, okay? And I'm going to put a video and a picture up here so you can kind of see what these four layers look like. But what you need to know is that the crust is the thinnest layer of Earth. It's the outermost layer. It's the coolest. It's where we live, okay? We live on the crust where there is land and oceans. Now, as we get a little bit deeper, we hit the mantle. And the mantle is the thickest layer of Earth, made of molten rock. And it is what controls the tectonic plates that kind of shift and move. And we briefly touched on that in class, and you'll learn all about that in more depth next year, okay? But the mantle is the thickest layer, okay? And there's molten rock here, there's magma, okay? And that is the mantle, the thickest layer. Now, we get a little bit deeper and we have the outer core. And the outer core is believed to be where Earth's magnetic field is located, and it's also made of liquid metal, liquid iron and nickel. Okay, so the outer core is made of liquid. We get a little bit deeper to the center of the Earth and we have the inner core. Now the inner core is a dense solid ball of metal. It's the hottest layer of Earth and it's made of solid iron and nickel. Okay, as we go deeper and deeper into our journey to the center of the Earth, It's a great movie if you've never seen it. Okay, as we get deeper into the center of the Earth, temperature, pressure, and density all increase, okay? So we live on the crust where it is the coolest. As we go all the way to the center of the Earth and get closer and closer to the middle, the temperature increases and it gets a lot hotter. Now I want you to think about ways that you could create a model of the layers of the Earth. In class, one of our lab investigations included us using an Oreo to model each of the 4 layers. We said the black part of the cookie was the crust, the white filling was the mantle. We put some chocolate syrup on it to represent the outer core, and a Skittle in the center to represent the inner core. Now that's a great model, and it's something that we all did. But what else could you use to model the layers of the Earth? Well, you could use something like an egg, where the outside shell of the egg represents the crust, the white part of the egg represents the mantle, and the yolk or the yellow part of the egg represents the core. You could also use a piece of fruit like an apple or a peach, where the skin of the fruit represents the crust, the fleshy part that you eat on the fruit is part of the mantle, and then of course the pit or core of the fruit represents the core of the Earth, okay? Now these are just a few examples of things that you might use, but I want you to think, what else could you use to represent the layers of the Earth? And last but not least, let's talk about everybody's favorite topic, rocks. Okay, probably not your favorite thing, but we do need to know a couple things about the rock cycle, okay? If you look at this picture here, you see that the rock cycle is an ongoing, continuous process where any rock can become any other type of rock. The 3 types of rocks that we looked at in class were sedimentary, metamorphic, and igneous. Let's go ahead and break down each type of rock. The first type of rock that we have is sedimentary rock. Now, sedimentary rocks are composed or made of a bunch of small, tiny sediments, right? A bunch of different fragments of rock. So we take a bunch of small little rocks here and there, and we combine them all together. They cement and compact, 2 words we'll look at in a second, and that makes a sedimentary rock. Now, some words that you need to know about sedimentary rocks are, first, sediment, right, which is just the tiny pieces of rock that come together to make our sedimentary rock, as well as weathering, erosion, and deposition. Now, we said weathering is essentially the breaking down of rocks into sediments, and this can happen from rain, snow, ice, wind, whatever. Okay, when rocks break down, that's weathering. Erosion is the movement of sediment from one place to another. So if our rock breaks down from weathering and then is carried down a river or blows away, that is erosion. Erosion is the movement of rocks. Deposition is the settling or depositing of these rocks, okay? So if a rock is eroded somewhere and then settles in another location, that is the deposition, where it settles. 2 more terms we need to know about sedimentary rocks are compaction and cementation, okay? Compaction is essentially when the different layers of rock are compacted or pressed together. Lots of pressure causes these rocks to be pressed together. That's compaction. Cementation is when they are essentially glued together or cemented together. So sedimentary rocks are when all these tiny little pieces of sediment come together and they compact and cement to form a sedimentary rock. Now, we also have igneous rocks. Igneous rocks are formed when magma cools and hardens, okay? When things melt and are cooled. And we did this in our lab, and we'll look at that in a second. But essentially, if we turn rock into lava by extreme heat, right, that's melting it, and then it cools and it hardens, that is igneous rock. Igneous rock is formed by melting and cooling when magma cools and hardens. Lastly, our third type of rock was metamorphic rocks. Okay? Now, metamorphic rocks are formed by extreme or intense heat and pressure. Okay? We heat something up and then we apply pressure. That's a metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rocks are created by extreme heat and pressure. Now, all 3 types of these rocks are part of the rock cycle, all right? That process, that ongoing process and series of rocks changing from one type to another. And the rock cycle proves to exist because rocks can become any other type of rock at any time, okay? A metamorphic rock can become a sedimentary rock can become an igneous rock, igneous is sedimentary metamorphic, and blah, 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 and so on and so on. So like I said, the rock cycle proves that any type of rock can be turned into any other type of rock under the right conditions, okay? So look at this picture of the rock cycle up here and see what it takes for one rock to become another type of rock, okay? To make sedimentary rock, we need weathering, erosion, deposition, compaction, and cementation. To get igneous rock, we need things to be melted and cooled. And then to get metamorphic rocks, there needs to be extreme or intense heat and pressure. Now, take a look at this picture, try to memorize it. This is everything you need to know about the rock cycle. Last week we were in the science lab, and in the lab we took a piece of airhead candy and we ripped it up into a bunch of little pieces. You then took some of your pieces and swapped them with your lab partner. As you switched pieces that you broke, this represented weathering, erosion, and deposition. All these little pieces of airhead candy came together, and that represented our sedimentary rock. Then you applied heat and pressure to your rock, and your airhead candy became a metamorphic rock. Lastly, you took your piece of candy, you put it in some foil and placed it on the hot plate. You began to kind of smell like that burning, it's a weird smell, and you saw some smoke come up, and you saw bubbling, and your airhead started to melt. Now, that melting and then cooling of your candy is what happened to make your rock an igneous rock. So right then and there in front of your own two eyes, you were able to make and model the entire rock cycle with a piece of candy. We saw sedimentary rock, metamorphic rock, and igneous rock, just like that. All right, that's all I have for you in terms of science stuff today. I really do hope you learned something new about Earth's 4 spheres, Earth's layers, and the rock cycle. Now, if you're struggling, if you need help, please come see me. Shoot me an email, come to Academic Coaching, come to LIT, do what you need to do because I want you to be successful and I know that you are capable of being successful. Now, let's take a brief second because every single week, Miss Walls talks about how you can do hard things in house meeting. She loves that hashtag, we can do hard things. And you know what? It's true. You can do hard things. I know that school sometimes is hard. For some of you, everything just comes natural. It's easy. And others struggle, and it's okay to struggle. Learning is about failing and struggling, and sometimes it takes a lot of time to get better. It takes time to learn things, and that's okay, all right? Whether it's my class or another class, I promise you can do it, okay? You are capable of being successful in all of your classes. So ask your teacher for help, come to Academic Coaching. We want you to learn everything you need to know because we all believe that you can be successful. Now, even outside of school, I do believe that you can do hard things. And here's an example in my own life, okay? Just yesterday, I ran the Austin Half Marathon, right? I don't know the last time I ran more than like 5 miles, but a few weeks ago, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sign up for a half marathon, and so I did it. And so some of my friends and I, we ran the Austin Half Marathon, 13.1 miles, and it was a lot of fun, and it was hard. Okay, I got to about mile 10 and my legs started to cramp up and I started second guessing why I even signed up, okay? But I fought through the pain, I kept running, I kept moving, and I crossed the finish line, right? And that was a lot of fun for me. I pushed myself, I did something that I was uncomfortable doing, okay? But I put my mind to it and I worked hard and I did it, okay? And hopefully one day I can run a full marathon, right? It takes time, it's something I'm gonna train for, right? But I know that I can do hard things because I put my mind to it and I work hard every single day. And I want you to do the same thing. So whether it's in sports or band or some sort of fine arts or even in class, in school, okay? I want you to know that you can do hard things, okay? Have a great day, have a great weekend, have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you in class.